you have to tear him down? What are you so afraid of? What have you got to lose? He wasn't selling anything. He didn't want anything from anybody. He wanted nothing from nobody. Nothing. Nothing. And you people have to tear him down so you can sleep better tonight? So you can prove that the world is flat and sleep better tonight? Am I right? I'm right. To hell with all of you. To hell with everyone.
So, a game developer, Alec, no disrespect intended, committed suicide on the 31st of August because of accusations completely unbacked up by Zoe Quinn. And if anyone doesn't know, Zoe Quinn has made accusations in the past. She's been demonstrated to be a liar in the past. She is branded and made a brand of herself as a professional victim. And I have a couple thoughts on this. First of all, if you're unaware of the situation, I'm happy to make you aware of it. That this type of person can, if you're going to make accusations, the person can have already emotional problems, depression, what have you, and this can be a result. So I'm not saying don't criticize people. I'm also not a snowflake advocate, but serious accusations that someone's abusive, that cost them their job and their reputation, is serious enough that you can be sued for damages in court. And here's my first thought. My first thought is that rather than just giving up on the idea that someone might commit suicide or be harmed by someone who's violent towards them because of your accusations, which happened to, for instance, the Quartering, Jeremy or the Quartering, got attacked unprovoked one night at a pub talking to some people who were friendly towards him. Someone came up behind him, started punching him in the head. For these types of things, I think it goes well beyond civil court and damages. I think that we need to install laws that are, and hear me out on this because I'm a professional driver. A lot of people don't realize that if you're doing something like distracted driving and you get caught and no one's been hurt, you get a fine and maybe some points. If you're doing something like distracted driving and you hit someone and someone gets injured or killed, it becomes criminal law and you can go to jail, and rightly so. The same thing should happen in the case of destroying someone's reputation and their life. When you can demonstrate, and there should be due process about this, you shouldn't just get convicted willy-nilly because someone committed suicide. But if it can be demonstrated that you maliciously attacked someone in order to do damage to them, and as a result they were injured or killed, you should face the investigation and a possibility of criminal prosecution for what you've done. I don't think that there's a perfect system, and that's a ridiculous standard to hold, but I think we can do something, because right now there's nothing. So let's do that. First thought. Second thought is about the way people treat language. Zoe Quinn, who instigated this, and by the way is now having the wagon circled around her by people like Sarkeesian and other shitheads who are professional victims, they like to play word games. So Zoe Quinn is someone who's created a foundation. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called, but it's about people with depression to help them so that they don't do things like suicide. And you see how they wrap themselves in white cloaks of righteousness, which hide inside this festering disease. The very thing that they pretend they're against, they're actually proponents of. Driving people to hurt themselves or to be hurt by others or to have their lives destroyed is what people like these professional victims, these cry bullies, are all about. But if you call them out on it for their own actions, then they're the victims. Well, I mean, this goes on all over the place. I was never on board with a great deal of what David Silverman stood for. For instance, he was the president of American Atheists, for years. And he was thrown under the bus, kicked out immediately with unsubstantiated allegations against him some time back. And I immediately left to his defense. I don't have to agree with him about political matters or about social matters. That's not the point. The point is, if you make these types of allegations and people act on them, everyone should be liable. Because I don't want to live in a society where someone says some shit and then everything in your life falls apart, or someone you know, their life falls apart. No wonder people have a higher suicide rate these days. And particularly men have no defense against this shit. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Peace to the family of the game developer. I'm really sorry that this happened to you. And to Zoe Quinn, I hope that you one day learn to be a decent human being, which I doubt you will. So in lieu of that, fuck you.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. Some new DMs in regards to ZQ have been leaked. And the team over at the Post Millennial has been doing an amazing job covering this whole situation. And just when I think that, you know, it's kind of over, bam, new evidence drops, and this whole gaming world, the whole gaming world should be watching this and should be taking note. Now, new DMs have leaked out in regards to Zoe. They are actually from Alex, which is, it feels a little weird reading them now, given his, you know, he's passed, but I think it's important that from a context perspective that we see exactly the type of person we're dealing with here. And I think it continues to shed even more light on who he was and what really happened. The article released September 8th, which I covered before, and you should read too, outlined a number of discrepancies and outright fabrications present in her statement on the 28th. Likely as a result, the post-millennial was subjected to DDoS attack when it attempted to shut down access to our site. Since the publication of this article, from the article, more information has surfaced to contradict the statement many speculate that led Halaka to make his decision. Speaking with the Post-Millennial anonymously, I wonder if this is the same person that I was speaking to be honest with you. Due to fears of backlash, a fellow developer of his had provided dozens of messages exchanged in 2014 with him speaking about his experiences with ZQ. The authenticity of these messages have been verified. He had reached out to express fear about telling his story, saying, "I've been trying to talk to friends about it for a couple of years," he wrote. "Thought about sharing my story with her a few times, but was always scared." Here's his comments on the left and then the source on the right. "It's been interesting. I've been trying to talk to friends about it for a couple of years." So a friend says, if talking about her doing this being terrible ruins my career, I don't want a career in this industry. Yikes. I don't know. It's clearly not because she's a woman. It's because she's a bad person. Woo! That's a spicy meatball. It would see, and that is in response to this other developer saying, "I think people like Zoe are unfortunately going to create more problems. Women are going to be seen as liabilities more and more." He goes on to say, "I don't know. It's clearly not because she's a woman. It's because she's a bad person." This is in 2014. These messages corroborate Quinn's own assertion that Alex was concerned about the challenges facing women in the gaming industry, and it was his primary motivation for interacting with her prior to their connecting through Twitter direct messages in 2012. As stated in our September 18th exclusive, the new evidence is not completely exculpatory. It does not provide a complete picture of what happened between the two during their time living together in 2012. It does, however, continue to call into question the credibility of the statements made by her against him, and importantly, it demonstrates the tragic logic of guilty before proven innocent.